So, in the summer of 1984, the leg that we now know as Lindow Man's leg comes to light. You take it to the police station, they photograph it,
Yeah.
and then the archaeologists come in, they close down the peat works,
Yeah.
and the rest is history, isn't it?
Yeah.
That investigation has been going on ever since, and we're still talking and arguing about precisely what Lindow Man means.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could just, before we start to talk about that, whether we could just say a little bit, or ask you to talk about the nature of the work on the bog, what it was like to work there. And I believe a lot of your family worked on the peat moss as well.
Yeah, they did. There was my father and all my uncles worked at the peat moss.
I think we do have a photograph of them. This is a black and white photograph. Is it from the 1950s? Did you tell me?
Yeah.
So this is Jim, Ken, Bruce, Frank, and Dickie, is it?
Yeah.
So these are all your relatives.
They are, yeah.
And they all worked on the peat bog.
Yeah.
And so when you finished school, it was perhaps automatic that you should go and work there as well.
Yeah. Because when I was a school child, I used to go with my father to the peat moss and help him there, so I knew exactly what I was doing.
You knew exactly what to do. In fact, I think we've got a photograph of you actually at the controls of is it a JCB or some kind of mechanical digger? And what was it your job to do here with the machine? What are you doing? Can you just explain that?
Well, what I was doing there was digging the peat out to go to be milled to where they found Lindow Man's leg.
So you dig the peat out and let it. Did you leave it to dry, or did it go straight to the milling machine?
Yes, it gets dug out and then it's dried for say 2 years.
Because we interviewed your uncle Bruce last summer, and he was telling us about what hard work it was to dig out the turfs by hand and stack them, and then to have to go back and turn them over and let them dry, and then they would go for milling.
In my dad's time and my uncle's time, it was all cut by hand, you see, into blocks and dried. So it was a lot of physical work then. But in the 80s they bought the machines, so it was all dug by machine then.
Right, and it was your job to take out the peat by working the controls of this JCB.
Yeah, when I first started I was on the mill part, and then just after I was on the machines again, and once I trained on those. Yeah.
What was it like at that time? Because when you go to Lindow Moss today, you see this wide open expanse of fairly dry peat, and you can see where the layers of peat have been removed in the past, and it's something like 2, perhaps 3 meters in places lower than the surrounding landscape. What's that, about 10, 12 feet or so?
See, the thing is with the peat moss, it's like a sponge. So when you've dug it out, after so many, it lifts back up, so you can't really tell how much you've dug out. It's not like a quarry deep, it re-rises back up,